organizations. So when we're talking about high velocity sales, these are some of the categories. I'm sure there would be a lot of other questions as well, and okay, challenges as well. But these are some of the major challenges I could foresee as per my experience working in sales, and few additions to this. Like why these challenges appear or arise in high velocity sales. So first, let's try to understand that what is high velocity sales. So wherever some industries like edutech, health tech, fintech, say lending, healthcare, or marketplaces. So these industries, okay, like normally they deal with a large set of databases. That means they generate large number of inquiries from their different channels, and there are teams who are working on these data sets. It means there is always kind of like possibility that wherever human intervention is there is a possibility of leakage, there is a possibility of missing out, there is a possibility of that those human errors of say not following up, of not seeing a task, and that may result into the leakage of revenue. So how do we ensure that when we are dealing with large data sets, each data set is kind of regimented, each process has got a cadence, the sales process is completely regimented, and we show the relevant actionable data to the reps or the agents, where there is no chance of missing any follow-up, there is no chance of losing out. So that will help. Basically it is it has to be measured at each step, and that's when the transformation process starts. Now, some of the insights I would just want to quote, where I have referred to as I mentioned to with Deloitte and Gartner. By 2023, 25% of the organizations, they would start seeing like marketing, sales, and CX as a single function, and it is very evident. It had started actually. It's like that's when like large number of technology providers, so service providers in technology platform, CRM, chatbot, all this, where these teams, the marketing, sales, product, all these teams are kind of it's like working together as a single entity. It's because of two reasons. One, the efforts put by marketing has to be reaped by sales. The feedback sales or operations get has to come into product. So if these three entities are not working on a single entity, then it will be difficult. All the learnings cannot be translated into one. Also, it shows that by 2025, like 20% of the B2C revenues would be generated from a kind of like recurring models. So in B2C also, subscriptions, we have already seen like a lot of organizations are running on a subscription model. Their products and services are being offered as a subscription, which is kind of like going to increase further. And here there will be a shift, like how do we sell, how marketing team functions. There will be a paradigm shift in the approach as well. The B2B sales, the transition from experience of selling has been more of data driven. There has been a lot of like bot, AI, ML driven it's like data propensity models, where we collect a lot of data. We try to model that data and understand that what sort of age, what sort of gender, what product and services are offered. All those data modeling is happening now, and it is going to increase further. And like most importantly, earlier, it's like analytics was a piece that was kind of ignored earlier, but now like there is a huge weightage given to analytics. Like every manager, like every management, every organization would want to see the reports, analytics from all the corners. It's because we wanted to see in the dashboard, in the analytics, that how much is our spend, what is our growth, like what is the performance of the team, region, field force, call center, all that. Yeah. With this, I would want to touch base upon how the how these insights, or how these facts are going to change the kind of sales, or the approach that we have to selling. It is more now being buyer centric. So three key drivers of digital transformation are basically the people, process, and technology. Now these three are in the center of like all the transformation, everything that we do. And people can be our internal and external. Yeah. Now how does it start? So when like people, if we select people who are the teams, like what would be the cadence for those people, how this team should function, we start measuring them, we start evaluating them, we start putting them in a cadence, in a in a regimented way. Then we, with the help of technology, we give them inputs. I'll take an example here. If there is a sales team which is functioning, and if like they are chasing X number of inquiries, like their prospects, and they get to know some behavioral aspects of those inquiries or the prospects they are chasing, it will be quite useful for them, like when they're going to discuss. So their conversation would be more kind of meaningful, and it will be relevant for those prospect or customers as well, right? So first, the paraphrase that is coming from technology and process is hyper automation, where the customers has to be engaged through different channels. Like my preferred channel can be email, but somebody else preferred channel can be WhatsApp. So the communication from the organization has to be by the preferred channel of the customer, right? And if I'm setting up we touch base on a problem that if I double my sales development team, if I increase the strength of my business development team, is it going to increase the revenue as well? Now this is digital scalability, where I increase the strength of my sales development, I give them the right technology, I set up a right process for them. Then I would be able to track if the performance from 10 people is X, can I make the performance from 15 people 2X? So I'm trying to increase the strength, at the same time I'm trying to bring in productivity in the people and efficiency in the process as well. I should be able to identify where the gaps are and how do I kind of fill those gaps. Then yes, as we mentioned that in high velocity sales, data is very crucial. So how do we make use of data? How do we model data? Like what are the important insights we get through artificial intelligence that will help basically to personalize the experience with the customer? It started, like 10 years back when we used to do mail merge. 10-15 years back, in the mail merge, we used to like personalize with the name, and that has evolved that from mail to message to WhatsApp in all the communication, and also understanding the behavior of the person, whether his preferred time is in the afternoon or in the morning to call or in the evening to call. So all those kind of important inputs from data is coming, and it is nudged to the sales guys. It is shown on a page of 360-degree view of the customer that helps the sales guys to have like more kind of meaningful conversation, and the possibility of closure also increases there. When we are setting these processes in sales, when we are keeping people, process, and technology in center, with these inputs, how do we set up the transformation process? So first thing, once we select like bunch of people that I want to start my transformation with, my sales teams or operations teams or business development team or call center team, so I should be able to define a goal. It should come from top, very clear, like defined across, whether if I am operating pan India or like globally, or I have started with one city. In that city there are 4 territories. So what is my objectives? What is my goal? I should be able to define that very clearly. Then I should set that process clearly, that okay, these goals has to be achieved and this will be assigned to these are the responsible stakeholders. So these are the people who will be working on achieving these goals. Now, those goals from top should be broken down into different tasks and activities. I mean, if there is an yearly goal, should be broken down to half yearly, quarterly, monthly, and then the weekly. And I should be able to touch base and like revisit on those goals again and again every week, understanding that where do you stand. It's because if we assign the goal and we do not measure it, so technology should be able to help us in terms of giving the insights to measure that, okay, we started with this and today after a week we are here. I'm sorry. We should be able to evaluate on a weekly basis. And if you see sales, in sales, specifically sales or operations or even sales development, there is no kind of repetitive task. So those repetitive tasks should be automated. So wherever we see that what portion in our business process can be automated, which segment can be automated. I'll give some examples. We generate inquiries from different channels. Those channels can be our website, our chat, our inbound telephony, our say social media channels. Can we integrate all the channels to one platform where inquiries coming in from different channels will be centrally captured into that platform, and that platform should have the ability to distribute those inquiries on a real-time basis to the relevant teams who are going to work on these inquiries. So we are basically ensuring that the lead leakage here is 0. And the turnaround time to every inquiry is kind of, say 3 minutes to 30 minutes. I'll give an example. So one of the real estate client that we have been working with in South India, in Chennai, it's one of the biggest real estate company there, and they wanted to automate this process, that inquiry to first call should be done within 60 seconds. So with the help of only automation, if the technology provider has got those automations to ensure that this process can be mapped, only then it will be possible. Yeah. Now, okay, like building on this transformation, if we have to set up this process, so how do we ensure, as I was mentioning, that starting from the capturing of all your inquiries. So the first point or first segment which every organization is kind of very critical for every organization is the lead generation. So how do we automate this process? So lead generation, most of the organization, as we know that are now going digital. They are generating their inquiries through social media, through website, through Google AdWords, all those. Now those inquiries are coming. So one is we should be able to capture those inquiries. Second, we should be able to understand the behavior of those people coming to your channels, right? We should be able to understand that which pages they have visited, and we should have that technology who can give us these inputs. If those inputs are not given to us, we will not be able to ascertain that, okay, what sort of action has to be taken onto these inquiries that has been generated. Once these are generated, then the lead management part of it. We get inquiries, there will be people who will be working on these inquiries. So how do we ensure that we have very efficient lead management system? Now, all those inquiries coming into your bucket will not be sales ready. There will be 20% or 25% who will be kind of hot, who will be sales ready. Remaining 70% or 80% of the inquiries has to be nurtured, engaged. So here comes again, you set up the automation that if, like, basis the disposition of the people, if it is not a hot lead, it should automatically be transferred to a bucket of nurturing and engagement, where you create a bucket of marketing automation. You basically start engaging them through automated communication, and basis that communication and the behavior and the action of those customers on that communication, you derive the next actions. It means the business process should be mapped in such a way that from an inquiry generation to lead management, on the same platform, you should be able to do the marketing automation bit. That how do you want to engage them? How do you want to capture? If you want to run a campaign with a telephony, if you want to send it to a call center for sales automation. So basis those, like dispositions or basis the behavior onto your nurturing cabinets. If you want to send out for automated dialer or campaign, those things can be there. Then out of that, whatever is closing should come to a different bucket, and the remaining which is not closed. So how long I want to keep that data, and what sort of engagement or communication has to be done with those contacts or databases. So that can be defined well, like well defined and configuring the business process itself. So we're trying to set up a complete end-to-end process from an inquiry till closure in between different strides. And okay, where all, what action has to be defined, and then at the end, like as we mentioned, the analytics from all the corners. So analytics can be from lead generation. It can be from about the sources, which sources, how many inquiries generated, which sources are kind of like more viable for me. Okay, what is my spend on those sources versus like what is the revenue generated from those inquiries. If we are able to map, manage, and establish that kind of a business process, we would see that the productivity of the people is increasing, the efficiency in the process is also improved. One example, just wanted to I've kept this slide to illustrate an example of automating it with some data inputs. Say, as we mentioned, that lead capturing automation is the first part where inquiries will be captured from different sources. Now we get an inquiry generated on the website or on the landing page on social media. Send automated communication thanking them. Hey, thanks for generating inquiry with us. Then distribute it to the respective teams. Yeah. And the respective team should know on a real-time basis that these inquiries has been assigned to them. They should have a kind of view where the agent should be able to see only the relevant actionable data. Do not show the sales guys or sales rep or call center guys or even the field sales reps lot of data or all the data. Like their view should be restricted only what is actionable for them. Yeah. And then you send an email after that. Like once you assign that inquiry to the sales rep or that agent, call center guy or the field sales, send a notification. I mean, okay, create an automated task. So we are trying to complete that loop. When inquiry comes in, get it distributed to a sales guy. Sales guy gets a notification that this inquiry has been assigned to you. He sees a task for himself. He has to mark that task complete after taking the follow-up. If he does not do so, then again, the business process automation should run and send a kind of notification that, hey, your task is pending. You have not completed it. If it is still not complete, should be escalated to its supervisor or manager. If he has completed as not interested or somewhat interested or something like, the inquiry is little warm or little cold, then it should be automatically shifted or moved to a bucket of like marketing or nurturing. So that's all I wanted to depict or illustrate through this slide. Now, once we set up this process, we have kind of defined the people, process, technology. That these are the teams that I'm going to transform into automation. I'm going to recreate my business process. I'm going to evolve my business process. I'll be using this chatbot, this CRM, this telephony. So right technology I have picked up. The process has been now started. The people are mapped. The technology has started functioning. It's onboarded. Now everyone is in sync to our transformation process. Then from day one, we start measuring. We start evaluating. and the platform, the technology platform, the technology partner that we choose should be able to give us that leverage to define the reports or dashboard basis our roles. For example, the management should be able to view that what is the revenue goals that we have set, like what is achieved so far, what is the net profit, how many customers has been churned, what is the cash burn happened in marketing, what is the expenditure that we have done, what is the total local revenue, like what is the payment close. So those dashboard should be, we should be able to configure and customize those dashboards for ourselves on the technology. This is, the technology has to be as an no kind of enabler for us. The managers can see the goals set by them, and those goals can be both say like revenue, non-revenue. If I'm running a team, I mean, like this is on a high level. If I'm running a team in South India, I may have the goal set up that this month I wanted to, my team should be doing 300 meetings. My team, if there is a call center team, the team, I mean, everyone in the team should be making at least 100 calls daily. So if 20 people are there, 100 calls means okay, like 2,000 calls daily. It means okay, 60,000 call or 60,000 touch base would have happened. These are the call matrices I would want to see. And if I'm doing so, the output should be that no, I should be generating X amount of revenue out of this. So I would be able to track both the lead indicators and the lag indicators same time. So like that's how I would be able to kind of say that yes, whatever like transformation process I was trying to create, it's successful or not, is working out for me or not. We have helped as a company. I mean, I'll just take like 1 minute here to explain and to introduce about LeadSquared as well. So we are a sales execution and marketing automation platform, and we have been helping and helped a lot of organizations in mapping and managing the digital transformation journey. So how do we intend to do that? So the intent here is to just show that how like holistically a sales process transformation can be set up. So as you see, like there are 4 or 5 problems that we highlighted, and again there are 4 or 5 problems that every organization, whether it is B2C or B2B, they like 4 or 5 challenges or problems they have in their business process. Okay, like number 1 is if you're having like multi-channel like lead generation, then you need to have either a person who would be kind of dedicated to manage those channels. He will be taking download from those channels, upload in a system, then assign it to the sales guys to work. The turnaround time would be higher in that case. Whereas like when we set up the sales automation process or the digital transformation process, we integrate with all the sources to ensure that inquiries from all the channels are captured into a single platform. That platform can also be connected to your core systems, so that if you want the replica of that data to be created in your system, it will go there as well. Now it can be distributed to the respective teams basis the logic that you define. That logic can be either like region basis or product basis, skill basis or potential basis. So there are certain organizations which has kind of like mapped the distribution basis, the skill and the potential. Yeah, and then so 2 classic problems that we solve here is like there is zero lead leakage. The turnaround time for those inquiries to kind of cater to those inquiries has been like reduced significantly. Third is the agents who has to work on those inquiries, they are not going to miss any follow-up, which has been a classic challenge in most of the organizations. As a human, we all are kind of we have certain priorities and things, and we always tend to forget the follow-ups. It's because practically it is not possible to remember all follow-ups that I have got. So if the system, it tells me that, hey, I mean, these are the follow-ups to be done today. And if I do not complete those follow-ups, the system escalates as well. It sends the notification either to me or to my supervisor, to my manager. Then no, this is a kind of robust system where sales guys cannot take a chance to miss the follow-ups. So automatically, the productivity of the sales guys is increasing. The revenues, I mean, like a person who was able to do 3 meetings will be able to do 5 meetings. A call center agent who was able to do 60 calls would be able to do 70 calls. Because I'm also kind of showing them only relevant actionable data. They're not supposed to toggle in between screens. They're not supposed to filter a lot of data and then work on that. They will be seeing that what data they have to work upon. So their time will be consumed only onto like actioning on that data. And then from the core system, we would be able to send out automated communication basis the stages or basis the triggers through SMS, through WhatsApp, through emails, whatever channel is preferred by the customer. So this is kind of a holistic view on a use case. So 4 or 5 use cases, as I mentioned. First can be the lead capture automation. Second can be field force management. Third can be call center management. Fourth can be it's like the kind of onboarding process. I will touch base upon some success stories of like some of the customers. So the first name and the biggest name that comes is Byju's. So we are associated with Byju's from last 6-7 years, and we have been in their journey of this growth journey. And we are handling some 50 million data. I mean, 50 million records of Byju's. There are 5 billion activities posted by 25,000 people who are working on LeadSquared. And that process is so automated. That process is so seamlessly automated that the management, the managers, they have got 100% visibility onto all the 25,000 sales guys across the country, across the globe. That what all activities, what all tasks they have done, what is the revenue forecast, how much like revenue would be generated, like how much they have done, what is their productivity, everything. And like as a result of setting up this transformation in sales process, there has been a 30% increase in the productivity of the people. This was one in EduTech. Second, I would want to touch base upon Finable, so which is a fintech. So there they want to lend to their customers, I mean, personal loan from inquiry to disbursal, like 30 minutes time. Now, this was a challenge because there is a lot of integration involved. So we have developed our APIs in such a way that it connects, it creates a kind of integration or an ecosystem where it is possible to facilitate from inquiry to disbursal within 30 minutes. One more example I want to touch base would be Meesho. So Meesho, basically, we have been helping of Meesho in terms of managing the suppliers, supplier life cycle, where the seller onboarding is done by their Fit on Street. The Fit on Street, they uses the mobile app, and it is configured and empowered in such a way that they automatically, whenever the seller's data is uploaded automatically basis the zip code allocated to the sales guys, they start working on them. The system or the mobile app shows them that these are the tasks that you have to do today. It shows them the plan as well, that you have to follow this route, and you would be able to complete 4 meetings if you do this. So we have seen an increase of 40% in the productivity of the field sales guys there. Then one last example I want to take would be Practo. So Practo, we have seen there has been starting from doctor onboarding to lead management to kind of managing the large call center. The complete sales automation has been significantly improved the productivity of the people and the process there. and we have been happy to share that there has been an increase of almost 45% in the productivity of the people there. And these are, apart from this, okay, these are some of the other customers that we have been helping them into their digital transformation journey. And I think that's all I wanted to share. We can take the questions now. I would be very happy to take the questions.
Sure. Thanks, Vineet. We have a bunch of questions. For the rest of you who are typing them in, feel free to do so, and we'll go over them one by one. We have one question from Abhyodaya. He wants to know what should be the first one or two things which we should say to a potential customer in the first 10 seconds so that they're motivated to actually listen to our pitch.
So Abhyodaya, I mean, first 10 seconds, basically, I mean, that depend again upon, like what sort of segment are we, what sort of industry are we into. But yes, I mean, the first 10 seconds should be about the customer, like not about us or about our, about the product that we are offering. I mean, as per my experience, like whenever I tried to understand the customer more, in the first 10 seconds, I always ask about, about their process, their organization, their challenges, their pain areas. Then they kind of find it that we are more concerned about their problems rather than selling our product or services to them. So that has given our sales development team, I'll just wanted to quote here, our sales development team is basically their job is to like generate demos and do outreach to the customer. They're also trained to understand the customer problem first, or to start with, with like introduction that I'm calling from LeadSquared. After that, they'll start about the customer, and we have been seeing good results there. If there is anything specific, we can definitely connect offline, and we can understand more about this.
We have another question from Ayushi. She wants to know, are you able to capture leads from Instagram as well? So I think this might be a broader question of can we integrate to social media and put that into your system, into your LeadSquared system?
We see, so Ayushi, our APIs are, I mean, kind of, like very open, and whatever organization that we have been like working with, so we are working with 2,000 organizations currently, and like, okay, some, I mean, our app marketplace is quite enriched. There are a lot of connectors for different functions like telephony, SMS, WhatsApp, like Zapier, all those kind of things are there in place, and our APIs are very open. So we can definitely look for any integrations. I mean, it would be okay, like technically possible.
Awesome. I had another question actually while the others come in. We've been reading a lot about just social selling, right? Trying to understand who your lead is. You just mentioned that it's good to understand what your customers' problems are. Do you have any tips for someone, for any founders who are just starting out, what works, what doesn't work, just so that they understand some of the best practices?
Sure. See, with the limited experience that I have working with LeadSquared, or before that Matrix, or before that fintech, IndianMoney.com. When we start an organization, like as in startup, our focus is like predominantly onto generating revenue to survive. That's the harsh reality, actually, right? Our focus is on to generate like more and like more revenue. If I mean, it's not bad. It is always good to have this kind of focus, so that it is kind of essential for our survival. But at the same time, if our focus is more onto like developing the product in such a way, and then taking it to the market, the product should be, I mean, our product development team or product should be in such a way that it should really, if it is really solving the problem of the customers to whom we are offering this, and then setting up the processes in sales that how to sell this product.
Okay.
Yeah, I mean, how consultative are we in terms of selling our product and services? We should not have, we set up the sales team, but sales team should not typically work like a sales, like sales reps.
Mhm.
They like how consultative, how empathetic they are about understanding the problem, and then which, like as I mentioned in the previous slide as well, that from a product specification to a solution to now it's more of experience that we sell.
Got it.
So,
And in terms of just sales reps or just often sometimes they're also called customer success personnel, right? If you were to look at selling to regions that your sales members are not part of, so often if you're a SaaS product, you are based out of India, but you're selling to customers in the West. Um, what has your experience been in terms of just training sales personnel for locations that they may not have even been to, right? So it's difficult to sometimes understand what or make small talk or build a relationship and you don't have that much cultural context.
see, one is definitely yes. I mean, if we are selling to a different region where we do not have the cultural context, we do not understand, you know, the terminologies basically. I mean, like every
Yep.
region and every organization, the terminologies in sales also, like okay, changes. So if we start selling, if we identifying, or if we're exploring a new region, we should know it. Like first few months would be kind of investment in terms of understanding, scaling up the sales guy who is going to like take in charge of that particular like region. So investing onto his learning is important.
Got it. I think that was very helpful. We have another question from Pooja who's raised her hand. So I'll just unmute her. And Pooja, over to you to ask your question. You're on mute, so you might have to unmute and ask the question.
Sorry, I don't have any questions.
Okay, all right. All right. I think those were the questions we have, unless there's anyone else who wants to raise their hand and ask a question. All right, we've got someone raising the hand. I think this is EE, so I'm not sure who that person is. Just unmute you and you can ask your question. So you've been unmuted. You can ask your question. You can just unmute and ask your question.
Thank you, Mr. Vineet Tiwari. It was really a very good session. My question is that, any pointers you can give for fintech companies? Specific pointers?
Fintechs, if you are, I mean, okay, different kind of fintechs are there. Now we have experience of working with some of the fintechs in India, I mean, in South India as well, like Capital Float, like Incred. So there, it function, it is kind of high velocity sales there as well. Your digital acquisition, I mean, in fintech, okay, digital acquisition, and then, like generation of application, the system should be able to integrate to the core systems, the core, and like LOS system. If you are a lending company, say for example, so like inquiries, you capture inquiries, then you kind of like qualify, the pre-approval checks are there, the quality scoring. So the technology that you choose should be able to define those checklists or those like criterias for pre-approvals. It should be integrated to the credit bureaus to ensure that you get the right like credit score to push that into an application format and then to push it into your LOS. It's because if you do not integrate all the channels, then from inquiry to disbursement there will be a lot of like time that will be taken. And like nowadays the fintechs are there who are kind of working, as I mentioned, from inquiry to dispersal, okay, within 30 minutes. So without those like integrated ecosystem, it will not be possible. So we should always look from the beginning onto adopting a technology that should be able to integrate that complete system from inquiry to LOS to the credit bureaus, all that. So I hope I answered your question.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Thanks a lot.
We have another question.
Can we approach you on LinkedIn or something for any
Sure. I'll share my email ID in the chat here. You can like directly, like reach me out on
Thank you.
email as well.
Awesome. Vineet, we've got a couple of more questions that have come into the Q&A section.
Sure.
The next question is from Vaishali. She's saying, we cater to the Horeca industry. We currently manage things via Excel sheets. The attrition rate is very high, and we are at the early stage. We do have paying customers to survive and grow slowly, but we are still figuring and zeroing in on categories to chase after. What are the first few things we should absolutely do in our selling journey? What basic sales of things are a must?
See, I mean, first thing is we need to set up a sales cadence, and like all like the team should follow this cadence very kind of religiously. I mean, sales is kind of I mean, a lot of people says that sales is a thankless job, and like a lot of if you speak to say 100 sales guys as as a survey, out of that 60 will tell you that okay, sales is a thankless job now. And that's the reason that there is like huge attrition in the team as well. So the cadence that we set for sales guys now, if you are adopting a technology and you're tracking, like they will start feeling that we are being like monitored and tracked. But if you make the technology as helping hand to them, and if you incentivize them onto this, that if you start, it's because like technology is going to definitely help them. They like it is going to help them into completing their daily task activities, all that stuff. So if you start incentivizing them onto these aspects, I understand that in the beginning it is difficult to shell out money, but yeah, I mean, like whatever the limited resources that we have, if we start utilizing onto managing that cadence, it will help, especially in the beginning. And then like once we are kind of stabilized, we are kind of like sorted, then we can slowly scale it up.
All right. We've got the next question from Chitra. She wants to know, what is your take on using QR codes on Google page and social media pages for clients to inquire? I'm from the healthcare sector. Do you recommend QR codes versus phone calls or vice versa?
Yeah, I mean, QR codes are, I mean, these are secured, right? There is no problem. I mean, the like whole of India, if you see, I mean, all big companies, all giant, all the financial transactions are happening through. I mean, so this is kind of it is going to be the future. It has started already. If you see the penetration, these transactions happening even in tier 2 and tier 3 cities are happening through these codes, right? So there is no harm in this.
All right. We've got another question from Abhyodaya. He wants to know, what is your thoughts on automated bot reply sales experience in B2B, where ticket size and potential customer use cases may differ? So
Abhyuday, yes, I mean, so if you see, bots are really being helpful now, but understand, I mean, our process should be set in such a way that bot, like basically, it act as a filter. So it kind of stop spam and filter the interested or the customers who really are interested into talking to us, into understanding our product or services. So bots are the first line of a defense basically. So if the system is set in such a way, basis certain keywords, automatically it should be all that the chat that is happening is captured by the CRMs. I mean, we have also integrated with a lot of bots, and whatever the chat is happening with the bot, we capture that, and automatically we paste it on the wall of that lead. Now, basis those chat transcription, if like certain keywords are there, so basis that if you want to dispose it off to an agent to call that customer to assist him, so that will kind of like give him a good feeling that though I was interacting with a bot, but when I raised my question, automatically I got connected to somebody who is responsible, or where I can say my inquiry, or I can express my feelings about the product or the services. So this is helpful, definitely. But yeah, the process should be set up really well.
We are at the top of the clock almost, so I will go on to the last question. This question comes from Priya. She's saying we are a startup running in a testing phase in a few cities to refine our business. However, lead generation and automation applications are expensive. So can you please tell us how to approach this as for a startup? They do not have a big capital investment pool to invest in something like this.
I completely understand. I mean, we are very much startup friendly, and we have been helping a lot of like startups into kind of managing and mapping their sales process, their business process. So we can definitely connect and like discuss on this.
All right. I think we may have time for one more question. This is from Sohani. So she's saying we are a user experience design studio. Till now, we get work from word of mouth only. Nothing from sales that interact with sales channels, lead generation, and the whole process is in place right now. What steps would you suggest to go ahead?
I mean, see, word of mouth is, yeah, of course, this is the best way of like getting inquiries, and there if we get inquiries through that kind of promotion, the possibility of the closure of like closing a client is not quite high. But yes, I mean, if we have to scale up, then definitely we have to identify some other channels for lead generation. We have to identify, we have to like keep some investment onto AdWords, onto other social media channels, or have to identify that, okay, like what are the different methods to outreach the databases. And also you have a lot of like, okay, loyal customers who kind of give like word of mouth promotion. So you can also run a kind of a loyalty program where you pass on some kind of incentive to them as well for all the references. So that will even encourage them to refer you more, if this helps you.
Awesome. I think these were our questions for today, Vineet. Sohani just replied, thank you. So I think it answers the question. Thank you so much, everyone, for joining, Vineet. I think this was a great conversation, and a lot of questions came in as well. So I think there's a lot of food for thought for everyone. For those of you who just dialed in today, we have sessions tomorrow and day after as well. You can reach out to us on our social media handles to know about them. With that, thank you so much for joining in. Thank you, Vineet. Hope to see you at IMB very, very soon. Thanks. And have a great rest of the evening.
Thanks a lot, Shloka, for this. Thanks a lot for giving me this opportunity. And thanks a lot, everyone, for joining this. It was like fantastic, awesome speaking to all of you. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye.